breath and we're going to do our treatment for freedom together. I speak my word for myself, my center, and all its members and friends. I know love as the only reality. I am created out of love. Love is what I am. I know this love as absolute freedom in every area of my life, the life of my center, and all who call it home. I know our center's mortgages are paid in full, and I claim for all of us financial freedom with all debts paid and cleared. I release any sense of struggle or wrongdoing. I live in an abundant universe where there is more than enough for all. We experience freedom in every moment by always having more than enough money, vibrant health, and loving relationships. We are who we have come here to be. With hearts open wide, we see the world through the eyes of love. We are blessed, we are rich, and we are free. And so it is. And we use our points of power. I always pay attention. I always tell the truth and tell it quickly. I always ask for what I want when I want it. I always take total responsibility for my experience, and I always keep my agreements. And so it is.
Thank you, Barbara. Get my notes over here. So many notes. Good morning. Good morning. Good to see you all this morning. Barbara and I, of course, were away for a time, and we had Terry and Bride here, and then we came home, and Barbara shared last week and kind of invited everyone to come to her class. If you didn't come last Monday, because it was a holiday, please come this week. It's a wonderful class. It's an amazing class. And I haven't found anybody that couldn't use a refresher on what we teach. So I wanted to just share with you a little bit about our beach experience. It's always wonderful to be at the beach, and we had great weather until the hurricane and tornadoes caused us to come home 4 days early. But we came home, you know, it was uneventful. It worked out great. I was very clear that even though the storm was not intended to go through where we were, there were tornadoes there, but the storm went north on the path we would have come home, and that would likely have kept us from getting here. So we not only came home, but we brought our little boat home. And so if you haven't noticed, it's out there in the driveway if you want to go see the thing that I keep talking about. And trust me, I'm going to talk about it today, but there were a couple other events at the beach that I thought it'd be a good idea to kind of catch you up on. One was that there was an incident on the beach where a child was lost. And this mother was frantically running down the beach looking and calling for her child, and then other people started helping. They found the boy. He was playing up in the dunes. And when someone brought him down, his mother grabbed him and held him so close. And then she pulled him away and looked him in the eye and said, "Matthew, don't ever do that again. If you ever want to go somewhere, tell Mommy." And he said, "Okay, Mommy, Disney World." We love this park. It's the Canaveral National Seashore. It's the north end, north of where the launches happen there, and it's just pristine and beautiful. And it's a national park, so it's got a lot of rules and regulations, and we try to follow them as best we can. We take our little boat out there at one of the two ramps, and they have one rule about cleaning fish. Don't do it in the park. Now, some people try to get creative and go around it. There is one place where we have running water in the park. It's at the Welcome Center in the restrooms, and apparently somebody tried to get creative with that and put this. So they put this on. No cleaning your fish in the baby changing station. Just sit with that for a while and you get how disgusting that is on so many levels. But we don't don't need to stay there. We're going to talk about this idea of moving beyond our fair weather faith. We come to this place, and although certainly there are always the possibility of people in the room with us that are in distress in our lives, but most of us come here for that regular reminder of how to be in this faith, how to know the presence of the divine no matter what, how to stay centered no matter what. And that's really the value of this. And we also know that things happen in our lives that kind of can knock us off a little bit. And we need that reminder more than ever. Thus comes my story again of the boat. It's a lovely little microscope, you know, and it's very simple. It's not fancy at all. Yet, when we brought it home from Florida to kind of get out of the way of the storm, this gave Barbara a great opportunity to kind of do some things with the boat that she wanted. So the orders began. Let's see, new trailer hitches for my truck, which was, you know, torn up by this trailer. And Barbara's Equinox gets a new hitch as well. We're going to have new trailer lights. We're going to have a new holder for the license tag, a new trailer jack, trailer winch, trailer strap. You kind of getting how this works? The boat seems to be doing better, but the trailer needs a lot of attention. So I'm watching all these things get ordered, and I'm going, this is changing the whole dynamic of this boat. And then Barbara had one other thing she wanted to do with the boat. You see, we've taken the boat out several times now, and what happens is we get out in the lagoon, and she says, take it up on a plane. So I crank it up, and up we go, and then all of a sudden the motor starts whining. Wow! And I slow it down, and then we putt in, or go to where we're going. And Barbara was not pleased with us. I'm going, I'm perfectly fine putt-putting. So Barbara wants us to get up on a plane, so apparently that's what boats are supposed to do. So Barbara finds a little boat shop outside of Asheville, supply and repair place. And we take the boat over to this place and park it outside. And one of the folks there comes out, he looks at the boat, he says, yep, that motor shaft is about 5 inches too short for that boat. What? It's what? Well, come inside. We'll price it out for you. $800 to add 5 inches to the shaft of this boat so that the propeller will stay down in the water. Now, that's problematic on many levels. One being is $800. One being is that if you drop that motor 5 more inches, the average depth of this lagoon is 2 feet, and where they want you to fish, it's like you know, less than a foot. That's not going to work. That means that motor's just not going to work. How's that? And we already changed the propeller. That was $200. Now we got to lower. And we can't sell it. We can't sell it because it's the wrong motor for the boat. Who'd you sell that to? Barbara said I could have sold it if I didn't know this. But now that I know this, so great. So what have we got? So we're driving home, and I'm brooding. And Barbara says, only good can come from this. And I bit my tongue till it bled. How could she say that? How could she say that it's going to turn out well, that our motor's the wrong motor for this boat? Have you ever had an experience like this? Where it was just wrong. And it was going to cost you a bunch of money or time or whatever to rectify this. And it's just, you just don't want to be in the midst of this. So I start transferring this into other things in my life. And Barbara said, be careful. Be careful. You're going to create a mess if you keep going. And I thought about it, and she's right. She's absolutely right. And what I realized, and I've realized this a number of times, and these kinds of circumstances take me back to this idea that no one ever promised that life was easy. Anybody ever promise you that? No. Of course not. Yeah, how many of us want life to be easy? Well, of course we want it to be easy. And when things get rocky, what's the first thing we want? Please make my life easy. Go to a practitioner. I want my life to be easy again. Huh. Well, easy is nice, but is it really the most important part of our life, the easy part? Easy is nice. Easy is comfortable. In fact, they call it a comfort zone. But it could turn out like this. Who's ever remembered for an easy life? Nobody was remembered for an easy life. People are remembered for doing something extraordinary in the midst of some hardship. Greatest president, Lincoln. Greatest hardship, Civil War. These are the things that cause greatness to appear in our lives when we rise above some great challenge. Do we want the challenge? Of course we don't want the challenge. The challenge will show up in your life, though. That's the nature of things. But when we try to live this teaching by simply having an easy life, we're not getting it. And to always want someone to treat for us or to treat for ourselves, to always have an easy life, may not be the fullest expression of who we are. Again, we're not looking for the problems. But when things happen that look hard, it's time for us to rise above it and to see a bigger picture. And really, truly, as all conflict and challenges in my life are, and I bet they are in yours too, is there simply a call to rise above, to remember who you are, and to live from that unknowing rather than from the problem. Because the problem will never satisfy you. It will never, and just to get it to go away, just go away is not the answer. It's to have a level of consciousness that rises above that challenge and to see who you really are. That's the greater place to be. Every morning I read a book of motivational thoughts from a guy named Nido Qubein. He is the president of a university here in this state that I'm not remembering at this moment. High Point University. Yes, exactly. And he's quite an amazing motivational speaker. And he put out a book of motivational things. And last week, he happened to put out one about caves. About how a cave is sort of like a comfort zone. You know, it's very secure. But it's also dark. And if it's enclosed like that, the walls don't give you much room to move. Neither does the ceiling on some of them. And the air gets stuffy and stale. And there's really not much of an opportunity to thrive in that environment, even though it's comfortable, because we know it, so we can kind of hide there, do our thing. But God knows what else is in there. I looked at that picture and I said, that's our thoughts about our fears. Just sitting there dormant, not doing a thing. And then we get a little flustered, and what do? They all flap all at once all around you. Oh, everything's wrong, everything's a mess. Oh, life is falling apart. Oh, and it's just chaotic. So working from a comfort zone like that, we're really limiting ourselves, and we're containing ourselves and not getting the fullest expression of life out of who we are. And what's interesting is that the view from the cave shows you that outside of the cave, there are beautiful things. There are wonderful things to see and do and experience. Are there chances of things getting difficult out there? Absolutely. But that's the nature of life. Does everything turn out exactly like we want it to? No, it doesn't. But if we stay focused, we'll find the value of every step along the path. And we can do it. We can find our way. It's absolutely true that the presence of the divine that we are flourishes out in the open. So if we seek to experience the full value of the science of mind from a contained space, we'll never really get it. We get it by spreading our wings, by going out into the world, by seeing what is ours to do and doing it and living it and experiencing it in its fullest. That's what life is about. That's what we're called to do, to live that full, rich life and to move out into it every chance that we get. Does it always turn out lovely and light, wonderful and easy? No, it does not. But looking back on every experience of my life that has been truly challenging, I can see how I've grown from it. I can see how I know myself better and am more able to do the next thing even better than I did the first. That's what's important to me. That's what I find from these challenges in life. Do I want them? Of course I don't want them. Of course I don't want them. But at the same time, there's something valuable in all of them. So Barbara had obviously had her head pretty securely screwed on with this whole boat thing. So her logical thing to do was to inquire from the gentleman we bought the boat from. Nice young man, lives in Central Florida. She sent him a note, or a text message. This is what she wrote. Hi, Brandon. We have never been able to get the Gino up on a plane. Gino is the name of the boat. We just left the mechanic that told us that the Mercury is too short for the Gino's transom. That transom's the back part of the boat. Do you know anything about this? Thanks, Barbara. Pretty neutral, right? Just asking, right? Brandon replied. He sent a picture. That's the Mercury. He writes, to me it sounds like you don't have the tilt all the way down. That motor is perfect for that boat. There's a lever with two settings, one for when it's shallow and the other for when you're in a foot or more of water. The red arrow, see the red arrow? Points to the lever that allows you to adjust the tilt of the motor. Pull up on the bottom of the motor by the propeller, taking pressure off the transom. Pull the lever and you should see a black flap go against the transom to push it, and it will allow the propeller to go deeper in the water, which gives the motor less tilt, and you'll be able to get up on a plane. So we went out to the motor. That little lever, I flipped that a bunch of times. Every time I want to move that motor, there's a little lever that you have to move to lift the motor up out of the water. But I always pull the big black one first, and it doesn't do anything. So I go to the other one and I pull the motor up. So what we did was we looked and we realized that there was actually a flap up between the shaft of the motor and the back of the transom there. And so I pulled up on it and I moved the lever and it went down. I got down there and I looked, and this fin right there, right above the propeller, was perfectly in alignment with the bottom of the boat. And the propeller was completely underneath it. I went, oh. We don't need 5 more inches on our motor, it's perfect. The idea here is if you're in the midst of a problem and you go, I don't know how to resolve this, you'll stay in a state of non-resolve. If you don't know how to resolve it, but you say, there's an answer here, and I will inquire and research and find the answer, you get the answer. Especially if you're saying, only good can come from this. I really hope I've learned all my lessons from this book. And I'm feeling really good about it. So once Barbara did that, she immediately went inside and started typing up an ad to sell the boat. And I was going, so you can't sell the boat? We just figured out how to run it. We got all this stuff, and some of it's even still in the mail coming to us. So we are continuing to be owners of the microscope. And apparently only good has come from it. It's all good. It's all good. So, with that, you go from that stormy experience of I don't know what to have in life to something quite different. And the clouds move away, and you remember who you are, and it's all good. But why all the drama? Why all the drama? This teaching is so perfect to save you from the drama. Declare at the moment of confusion or uncertainty that there's an answer, that there's a resolution, that this is working out for the highest and best of all. And then look for that. Accept nothing less than that. And that's what you will get. And love your partner through it. No matter what. Because they're doing the best they can. Now, obviously, this was a lesson on a micro scale. And we, as a community, and larger, we as a country of people, have this day. It's called 9/11. It's what we've called it for the last 15 years. It's 9/11. We aligned it with that emergency number that we dial on our telephone when something's terribly wrong. We call it 9/11. Was that intentional? Probably. And what we find in it is a lot of grief. I remember so clearly the day that this happened, watching those videos over and over and over again of those towers falling, of the hole in the Pentagon. And for some reason, the thing that just got me the most was the plane that went down in that field in Pennsylvania. It just broke my heart. It broke all our hearts. We gathered here to kind of mourn together and collect ourselves, but it took years. Some people still struggle so hard with this. And we honor those people who lost their lives that day, who stopped being in their physical bodies. 2,996 of them. Wow. And over 6,000 people were injured that day. Many of them have succumbed to those injuries in the past years. Many things crazy about that time. What do we do with that? How do we hold that? Do we continue to struggle with it? Do we continue to find fault? Well, I'm seeing light at the end of this tunnel. I'm seeing us finding our way out of it. One thing is that it's no longer called 9/11 officially, it's called Patriot Day. What a lovely idea. It's also called a day of remembrance. What should we remember about that day? That we were attacked by people that loathe our way of life, that loathe the way that this country functions and who we are in the world? No, that won't serve us at all. Are we safer today than we were back then? That seems to be the big question. I don't know. I know that my safety is based on my beliefs and the way I see the world. So as a people, I don't know. I know for myself, I'm fine. I'm fine. What do I want to remember? I want to remember all those beloveds that gave their lives that day. Because the gift that has come out of that is that we as a people are much more interested in peace today than we ever were back then. Many more people gather to discuss and to meditate on the idea of peace. You probably heard that Mother Teresa is no longer Mother Teresa. She's Sister Teresa, or she's Saint Teresa of Calcutta. She'll be on the cover of Science Mind magazine next month. How's that for a coup? And she always said, if you're having an anti-war rally, I will not be there. And if you're getting together to talk about peace, invite me, I'll come. She was that evolved a person. And we're all evolving into that. The idea that peace is the natural state of humanity. And that we are finding if we focus on peace, we'll get more peace. So the gift from those 2,996 who gave their lives that day is that we are learning to be a more peaceful society. We're focused on it and we're insisting on it, and the world is shifting according to that. Does that mean there's no wars in the world? Of course not. Syria is ablaze with violence right now. This morning's news said that 500,000 people have died there. So we pray for peace, and we know the peace of the Syrian people, however that's to happen. And peace will return to Syria as it does to everywhere on the planet. Because the anomaly is violence and war. And the natural state of the human experience is peace. And we are finding our way into that. So don't mourn today. I won't mourn today. Be grateful and remember. And think of peace. Because that is who we are. That is the direction that our world is going, into a more natural state of being at peace with one another. So see that with me, know that with me, and join me in celebrating the world on that level. And then 9/11 becomes Patriot Day, where we can be grateful and the peace that we're creating in the world together as one. What a glorious journey we're on. Thank you so much. God bless you.